This book is your awakening. Page by page, word by word, you are going to remember the truth you've ignored for too long. You are stronger than you think, not by accident, not by luck, but by divine design. You are stronger than your doubts, stronger than your excuses, stronger than the story you've been telling yourself about why you can't win. The problem isn't that you lack strength. The problem is that you've forgotten the strength you already carry. You must decide right now. No more excuses, no more shrinking, no more hiding. From this moment forward, you're stepping into your true strength. You are rising into the power God placed inside you, and you will win. Life has a way of convincing you that you're weak. The failures, the rejections, the disappointments, they whisper the same lie. You're not enough. And every time you believe that lie, you shrink. Every time you accept it, you silence the warrior inside you. But here's the truth. You were not built to be weak. You were designed with power. You were created with strength. God Himself placed His Spirit in you, and that Spirit is not fragile, not timid, not breakable. That Spirit is power, resilience, and fire. You must stop underestimating yourself. You must stop living like you are powerless. Every battle you've faced was not meant to break you. It was meant to reveal the power inside you. Every setback was not the end of your story. It was the training ground for your next victory. Chapter 1. Breaking the chains of small thinking. Small thinking is the first prison you must escape. It locks up the giant inside you and convinces you that you are weak, ordinary, and incapable of more. It is not your lack of strength that holds you back, but the size of your thoughts. When you think small, you shrink your possibilities. When you think small, you silence the roar of power within you. And here is the truth most people never realize. The greatest battles are not fought in the world around you, but in the arena of your mind. Every chain of limitation is forged in thoughts that tell you to settle, to play safe, to avoid risk. But chains can be broken. The moment you dare to think bigger, the giant inside you begins to awaken. The strength you never knew you had rises to the surface. The more you expand your vision, the more your inner power reveals itself. You are not weak, you are simply caged by thought. Break the cage, and you will discover the unstoppable force that has been waiting for you all along. Before chains ever bind your hands, before limitations ever lock your feet, the greatest prison is built in your mind. And here is the hard truth: you put yourself there every time you believe the lie that you are not enough. Every time you say, "I can't," every time you whisper, "It's too hard," every time you shrink in the face of opportunity, you're tightening the chains around your own potential. You must break those chains. You must tear down the prison of small thinking. Because here is the reality. Nothing will change in your life until you change the way you think. You cannot build a strong life with weak thoughts. You cannot live a powerful destiny with a powerless mindset. Think about it. Every achievement you admire, every person you look up to, every dream that inspires you, it all started in the mind. Before it was reality, it was thought. Before it was seen, it was imagined. If your thoughts are small, your life will be small. If your thoughts are limited, your future will be limited. But when your thoughts expand, your world expands with them. Stop excusing your small thinking. Stop defending your doubts. Stop speaking limitations over yourself like they are facts. You say, "I'll never be able to do that," and then wonder why you never even try. You say that kind of success is for other people, not people like me, and then live like you are disqualified. These words are not harmless, they are chains. And every time you repeat them, you forge them stronger. You must catch yourself in the act. When you hear the words, "I can't," come out of your mouth, stop and cut it off. Replace it with "I will." When you hear yourself say, "I'm not good enough," stop and cut it off. Replace it with "I am becoming stronger every day." This is not positive fluff. This is warfare. Every declaration is either weakening you or strengthening you. Every thought is either chaining you or freeing you. Understand this. Small thinking never comes from God. It comes from fear. It comes from comparison. It comes from the echo of voices that told you to stay in your place, not to dream too big, not to believe too hard. And you accepted their noise until it became your truth. But it was never the truth. The Spirit of God inside you does not whisper, "Stay small." He whispers, "Go higher." He calls you to enlarge, to expand, to walk into the fullness of who you were created to be. So you must reprogram your mind. You must build new thought patterns the way a builder lays bricks day after day, consistently, intentionally. Read books that stretch your vision. Surround yourself with people who talk bigger, live bigger, dream bigger. Cut off the conversations that keep you tied to mediocrity. If everyone around you is complaining, gossiping, or giving excuses, you will suffocate in that environment. Get out. Create new circles. Find voices that challenge you to rise, not settle. And here is the practical truth: you cannot think big while feeding on small distractions. If you spend hours scrolling, comparing, envying, you are shrinking your own vision. You must take control of what enters your mind. Mute the notifications. Delete the app if you have to. Say no to gossip. Walk away from negativity. Guard your mental space like your life depends on it, because it does. Look back at your life. Every time you settled, it was because of small thinking. Every time you quit too soon, it was because of small thinking. Every time you chose comfort over growth, it was because of small thinking. Stop blaming your past, your family, your location, your lack of resources. The biggest battle was never outside, it was always inside your head. You must start speaking differently. You must declare what you want to see, not what you fear. When David faced Goliath, everyone else said, "He's too big to fight." David said, "He's too big to miss." That's the power of thinking differently. That's the shift from small to strong. David wasn't stronger than the soldiers. He wasn't more experienced. But he had a mindset they didn't. He thought bigger, he believed deeper, and his actions followed his belief. This is your call. You must break the chains today. Refuse to live another day in the prison of small thoughts. Start journaling your vision. Start writing down your goals, not as maybe one day, but as this will happen. Begin to picture yourself stronger, braver, wiser, more disciplined. Hold that picture in your mind until it becomes more real than your fear. And don't wait until you feel ready. You will never feel ready. Strength is not discovered in comfort. It is discovered in action. You must step out while your knees are shaking. You must speak while your voice trembles. You must move even when fear is screaming at you to stop. That is how you build strength. That is how you break the chains. Every great life is built on the foundation of bold thoughts. Every strong man and woman who changed the world first changed their mind. They refused to think small. They refused to let fear or doubt dictate their vision. And because of that, they walked into victories no one thought possible. You must join them. You must step out of the small and into the strong. You must catch every limiting thought, confront it, and replace it with truth. You must stop rehearsing weakness and start declaring strength. You must stop building chains and start breaking them. Here is the promise. When you break free from small thinking, you will see doors open that you never imagined. Opportunities will appear because now you can recognize them. Courage will rise because now you believe it's possible. Strength will surge because now your mind is aligned with your spirit. This is not theory, this is practice. This is your daily battle. From this day forward, when the thought of weakness comes, reject it. When the lie of limitation comes, silence it. When the prison of small thinking tries to close in on you, break the chains. Because you are stronger than you think. Always have been, always will be. And the world is waiting for the strength you've been hiding. Chapter 2. The Spirit as your true source of strength. There is a force inside you that you have not even begun to touch. It is not muscle. It is not willpower. It is not the fleeting surge of adrenaline that comes after a motivational speech. It is deeper, stronger, enduring. It is the Spirit. The Spirit within you is the engine of resilience, the well of courage, the anchor of destiny. Most men spend their lives blind to this truth. They live as if they are only flesh-weak flesh, tired flesh, distracted flesh. They chase temporary strength in caffeine, in affirmation, in shallow victories. They train their bodies, but neglect their inner man. They sharpen their intellect, but starve their spirit. And when life delivers its storms, and it always will, they collapse. Not because they are weak, but because they never learn to draw from the well of their true strength. Let me make it plain. Human effort can only carry you so far. The Spirit of God multiplies your capacity. When the Spirit dwells in you, weakness becomes a lie. Strength is not borrowed, it is inherited. Your arms can lift weights, but they cannot carry destiny. Your willpower can break a bad habit for a month, but it cannot sustain a lifetime of purpose. Your emotions can keep you inspired for a week, but they cannot weather betrayal, loss, or uncertainty. Flesh and feelings always reach a breaking point. But the Spirit, God's Spirit alive in you, never runs dry. It multiplies your capacity. It turns frailty into fortitude. It takes your limits and replaces them with divine strength. Think of David. By human measure, he was no match for Goliath. The warrior's armor did not fit him. The giant's size dwarfed him. By flesh, he should have lost. But David did not step onto that battlefield clothed in muscle or willpower. He stepped clothed in spirit. And the Spirit of God turned a boy with a sling into a conqueror of giants. That is what the Spirit does. It multiplies what you carry. Think of Elijah, a prophet, weary from ministry, yet the hand of the Lord came upon him, and he outran Ahab's chariot. That is not human endurance. That is Spirit-breathed capacity. Or think of Paul, confessing his thorn, admitting his weakness, yet declaring with boldness, "When I am weak, then I am strong." Why? Because the Spirit of God turned frailty into strength, limitation into testimony. You need to understand this. The Spirit of God inside you is not a vague idea. It is power. It is stamina. It is fire. It is the very breath of God designed to make you more than you could ever be in your own effort. And yet, many of you live as though you are alone, dragging yourself through life, leaning on nothing but your willpower and human effort. That is why you keep running out of strength. Stop living as if you are empty. Stop speaking as if you are powerless. Stop acting like you were left to figure this out by yourself. You are not flesh alone. You are Spirit-filled. But here is the danger. Spirit does not dominate where it is ignored. You cannot live in constant distraction, endless indulgence, shallow pursuit, and expect the Spirit within to roar. Spirit must be fed. Spirit must be honored. Spirit must be exercised. If you starve your body, it weakens. If you starve your spirit, it fades into the background of your life. So how do you strengthen your spirit? It begins in silence. You must create space to hear God, to hear the still small voice within. Life is loud. Screens are loud. People are loud. Flesh is loud. But spirit grows in silence. That is why Jesus withdrew often to lonely places to pray. That is why men and women of destiny always carve out space where no distraction can reach them. Spirit must be cultivated. Second, you must test your spirit. Muscles do not grow without resistance, and neither does the spirit. You cannot build inner strength by always choosing comfort. Discipline feeds your spirit. Fasting sharpens your spirit. Sacrifice stretches your spirit. Every time you say no to indulgence and yes to challenge, you are teaching your spirit to rise above flesh. And the stronger your spirit becomes, the more unshakable you are when storms come. Third, you must fill your spirit with the Word of God. Flesh feeds on food. Spirit feeds on truth. Scripture is not optional, it is oxygen. Without it, your inner man gasps for air. When Jesus faced temptation, he did not quote his feelings. He did not argue his willpower. He declared, "It is written," that is spirit-fed strength. If the Son of God himself relied on the Word, what excuse do you have to neglect it? Fourth, you must pray in the Spirit. Prayer is not ritual, it is fuel. When you pray, you align your weakness with God's strength. When you pray, you access the power that flesh cannot reach. And when you pray in the Spirit, you edify yourself, build yourself, charge yourself. The enemy fears a man who prays, because a man who prays is not operating by flesh alone. Let me be blunt. You will never rise into your true capacity until you stop treating your spirit like a side project. You think your career is your main work. You think your body is your main work. You think your reputation is your main work. Wrong. Your main work is your spirit. If you lose everything else but keep your spirit strong, you will rise again. If you gain everything else but neglect your spirit, it is only a matter of time before you collapse. Look around. You know people who look successful on the outside but are crumbling within. You know people who have followers, money, or status but have no peace, no joy, no strength to endure. That is the fruit of neglecting the Spirit. Don't envy them. Don't imitate them. Build differently. Build inward before you build outward. Practical action begins here. Wake up and give God your first hour. Sit in silence. Open His Word. Pray. Listen. Let Spirit fill you before the world drains you. Guard your environment. Refuse to consume junk, whether in food, in entertainment, or in conversations that weakens your inner man. Train your discipline. Fast not just food, but gossip, laziness, distraction. And when challenges come, and they will choose to see them as training grounds, not punishments, Spirit sees beyond pain. It sees preparation. When you live from Spirit, everything changes. Failure no longer defines you. Criticism no longer cripples you. Delay no longer destroys you. Because Spirit whispers, you are stronger than this. You were built for this. Keep moving. Spirit transforms how you walk, how you speak, how you see yourself. It makes you unshakable because your strength is no longer tied to circumstances. The Spirit of God in you is your inheritance. It is the gift that turns ordinary men into world changers. It is the secret behind resilience, the power behind courage, the fire behind endurance. Stop underestimating it. Stop ignoring it. Stop living small when the power of the Almighty dwells inside you. Here is your command. Rise. Feed your spirit daily. Test it through discipline. Fuel it with truth. Align it in prayer. Live from spirit, not flesh. And watch what happens. Weakness will lose its grip. Fear will lose its voice. And the strength you thought you lacked will rise like a flood within you. Now you know your true source of strength. It is not willpower. It is not flesh. It is the Spirit of God multiplying your capacity and turning weakness into power. But the Spirit does not remove struggle. In fact, struggle becomes the very gem where your spirit grows. Every hardship, every resistance, every trial is shaping you, building you, training you for victory. That is where we go next. In the next chapter, we will confront the hidden muscles of struggle. Chapter 3, The Hidden Muscles of Struggle. When life throws its weight on you, it can feel unbearable. The nights of tears, the silent battles no one sees, the heaviness you carry that makes you wonder if you will ever rise again. Yet within every moment of strain, something powerful is happening beneath the surface. You may not see it, but your struggle is shaping muscles that ease and comfort could never produce. Just as an athlete must push against resistance to grow stronger, you too must press into hardship to discover strength you never knew was possible. The lie we are often tempted to believe is this: struggle means weakness, struggle means failure, struggle means God has abandoned you. But the truth is the opposite. Struggle is the divine gymnasium where unseen muscles of character, endurance, and resilience are built. Struggle is not evidence of your defeat, it is evidence of your development. You are being trained, not terminated. You are being prepared, not punished. Think of it this way: if life were only soft, if the road was always smooth, if the days were endlessly comfortable, the spirit within you would atrophy. Growth demands resistance. Diamonds are not formed in gentle rivers. They are forged under pressure in the hidden chambers of the earth. Gold is not purified in cool winds, but in burning fire. So it is with your life. Struggle is the fire. Struggle is the pressure. Struggle is the hidden trainer shaping you into someone you never imagined you could be. What if the very thing you despise today is the gift you will thank God for tomorrow? What if the rejection that broke your heart is the redirection that saved your destiny? What if the pain you are running from is the very pain that is birthing your new strength? You see, when you lift weights, the goal is not comfort, it is controlled discomfort. Muscles only grow by tearing. They must be broken down so they can rebuild stronger. Struggle works the same way. Life tears at you, but in that tearing, your hidden muscles, faith, patience, grit, wisdom, discernment are awakened. You are learning how to stand tall in storms, how to keep moving when the ground shakes beneath you, how to trust when everything in you wants to quit. That is the hidden gift of struggle. It develops in you what ease could never give you. Ease can make you complacent, but struggle forces you to grow. Ease can lull you to sleep, but struggle wakes you up to your inner power. Ease keeps you in the shallow end, but struggle throws you into the deep where you learn to swim or discover you were born with wings. The problem is not the struggle itself, it is the meaning we attach to it. Too often we see struggle as punishment. We see resistance as a curse. But what if struggle is neither punishment nor curse, but an invitation? What if every difficulty is heaven's way of saying, come higher, grow stronger, discover more? Struggle reveals you to yourself. You don't know how much faith you have until it's tested. You don't know how much patience you carry until you must wait. You don't know how much endurance you possess until life makes you keep running when every fiber in your being wants to collapse. Struggle is the mirror that shows you who you are becoming. And here's the mystery. You rarely see it in the moment. Struggle feels like loss while you are in it. But when you look back, you realize it was gain. The heartbreak you thought would destroy you became the birthplace of your strength. The closed door you thought was unfair became the redirection that elevated you. The season of scarcity you thought would drown you became the school that taught you how to steward abundance. This is why the hidden muscles of struggle are so precious. They are invisible when they are forming, but undeniable when they appear. History is filled with men and women whose greatness was forged in the furnace of struggle. Think of Nelson Mandela, 27 years in prison, stripped of freedom, dignity, and recognition. Yet those years did not destroy him. They shaped him. They built muscles of forgiveness, patience, and unbreakable conviction that later allowed him to lead a nation out of apartheid with grace instead of vengeance. Think of Thomas Edison's thousands of failed attempts at inventing the light bulb. Each failure was not punishment but preparation, each setback strengthening his resilience. When he finally succeeded, the world was changed. Think of Joseph in the scriptures, betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, imprisoned unjustly. At every stage, the struggle was painful, but the hidden muscles of leadership, wisdom, and humility were being developed. By the time he stood in Pharaoh's palace, he was not just a dreamer but a deliverer. Your story may not be written in history books, but it is no less powerful. Your struggles are building muscles the world will one day see. If struggle is the gym, how do you train well? 1. Don't despise it. See struggle not as an enemy, but as a teacher. Ask, what is this moment teaching me? What muscle is it building in me? 2. Stay in it long enough. Growth requires time. Don't quit too early. A seed does not become a tree overnight. Neither will you. Endurance is part of the training. 3. Use faith as fuel. You are not walking alone. The Spirit of God walks with you in the valley. His strength is perfected in your weakness. Lean on Him. 4. Document the process. Write down your lessons. Struggles can be forgotten when victories come. But your journal of struggle will remind you that if you survived then, you can survive now. 5. Encourage yourself. When the weight feels unbearable, remind yourself, this is not breaking me, It is building me. Here is the shift you must embrace. Struggle is not punishment, it's preparation. Repeat it until it sinks deep. Your struggles are not signs of abandonment, but signals of growth. They are proof that you are being entrusted with more. The weight you carry is proportionate to the strength being developed in you. So the next time hardship knocks on your door, don't ask, "Why me?" Instead, ask, "What is this building in me?" That question alone changes everything. Every hardship is training you, even when it feels like it's breaking you. Struggle is not your enemy, it is your trainer. Resistance builds resilience. Fire purifies. Pressure produces diamonds. What feels like punishment is, in truth, preparation. By shifting your perspective, you see that struggle is shaping hidden muscles of strength, faith, and endurance within you. These are the very qualities that will carry you into your destiny. Struggle has been your teacher, carving resilience into your bones and strength into your spirit. But struggle alone is not enough. You can be strong and still remain stuck. You can endure and still never advance. What separates those who simply survive from those who truly conquer is one thing: courage. The willingness to move forward, trembling but unshaken. The choice to act even when fear screams louder than faith. In the next chapter, we step into courage, the gateway to power, because every hidden muscle you've built through struggle is useless until you dare to use it. Chapter 4. Courage, the gateway to power. Fear shouts. It shakes your knees, it tightens your chest, it convinces you that stepping forward will destroy you. But fear is a liar. Fear is only loud because it knows the moment you decide to act, its power is broken. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the refusal to bow to it. Every battle you've ever admired, every victory you've ever celebrated, every hero you've ever looked up to, none of them felt ready. They felt fear, just like you. The only difference is this: they chose courage anyway. You must understand this truth. Every victory in life begins with one act of courage. One step forward. One yes when everything in you wanted to say no. One leap into the unknown. Without courage, strength is wasted. Without courage, wisdom stays locked away. Without courage, your dreams rot in silence. Courage is the key that unlocks the door to everything you were born to achieve. Think about it. You can have vision, you can have strategy, you can even have resources, but if you never move, nothing changes. Fear will always whisper, "What if you fail? What if they laugh? What if you lose everything?" But courage answers back, "What if I win? What if they respect me? What if I gain everything I've dreamed of?" Fear imagines defeat. Courage imagines victory. Fear builds walls. Courage opens doors. Fear shrinks your world. Courage expands it. You must decide which voice you will obey. And here's the hard truth: you can't wait until you feel courageous. If you wait until you no longer feel fear, you will wait your entire life. Courage is not a feeling. It is a decision. You must act while you are trembling. You must step forward while your heart races. You must move while your mind screams for safety. If you don't, fear wins, and fear has stolen too many lives already. Look at the giants of history. David stood before Goliath not because he was fearless, but because he had the courage to believe his sling was enough. Esther entered the king's court not because she knew the outcome, but because she had the courage to risk her life for her people. Peter stepped out of the boat not because the waves were calm, but because he had the courage to believe he could walk on water if Jesus called him. Courage always looks unreasonable at the moment, but it looks undeniable in hindsight. And here's what you must never forget: courage is contagious. One bold act can shift the atmosphere around you. Your decision to stand up can inspire 10 others to rise. Your refusal to shrink back can spark an entire generation to push forward. That's why the enemy of your soul fights so hard to paralyze you with fear. Because if you ever dare to be courageous, you will become unstoppable. Now let's get practical. How do you build courage? How do you practice it daily until it becomes your default? First, you must expose the lies of fear. Write them down. Fear thrives in the shadows. Drag it into the light. What exactly are you afraid of? Rejection, failure, embarrassment, loss? Be specific. Once you've named the lie, confront it with truth. If fear says, "You're not good enough," you answer with, "I am equipped. I am growing. I am more than capable." If fear says, "You will fail," you answer with, "Failure is feedback. I will rise again." Second, you must start small but move fast. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Call that person today. Apply for that opportunity today. Speak up in that meeting today. Every small act of courage trains your soul for bigger battles. Courage grows by use, just like a muscle. Third, you must surround yourself with the courageous. Fear is contagious, but so is bravery. Walk with people who are bold, who take risks, who don't let fear dictate their choices. Watch how they live. Learn from their leaps. Let their fire ignite yours. Fourth, you must anchor yourself in God's Spirit. Human courage has limits, but divine courage has no ceiling. Remember what Scripture says: God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. That means fear is never your inheritance. Power is, love is, a sound mind is. When the Spirit of God lives in you, He gives you the strength to step forward when fear screams at you to sit down. And finally, you must decide every day. Courage is not a one-time choice. It is a daily practice. Every day you are confronted with moments that demand bravery, saying no when compromise tempts you, saying yes when opportunity knocks, standing up when silence feels safer. Each decision shapes you. Each act of courage builds a legacy. Now, hear me clearly. Courage will cost you. It may cost you comfort. It may cost you approval. It may even cost you relationships. But the price of courage is always less than the price of regret. The pain of stepping out will never compare to the pain of looking back and saying, "I should have tried. I should have spoken. I should have moved." Regret is the graveyard of the timid. Don't let your dreams be buried there. Instead, let courage become your signature. When people describe you, let them say, "That man was bold. That woman was fearless. They moved when others froze. They acted when others hesitated," because that is the truth of who you are. You are not weak. You are not fragile. You are not a slave to fear. You are strong, you are resilient, and you are courageous because the Spirit of God within you makes you so. So step forward. Make the call. Write the book. Start the business. Preach the message. Ask the question. Take the risk. Walk into the unknown. Fear will shout, but you must move anyway, because on the other side of fear is freedom. On the other side of fear is your destiny. On the other side of fear is everything you were born to do. And let me leave you with this. Courage compounds. One bold act leads to another and another until bravery becomes your natural state. Soon, you will look back and realize the things that once terrified you are now the things you conquer with ease. You will see that fear was never the barrier, it was always your gateway. And every time you chose courage, you chose power. Courage is the hinge on which every victory swings. Without it, strength is wasted, wisdom is silenced, and dreams are lost. Fear will always be present, but it has no power over a heart that chooses to act anyway. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to move in spite of it. You build courage by exposing fear's lies, taking small, bold actions, surrounding yourself with the brave, and anchoring yourself in God's Spirit. It will cost you comfort, but it will give you destiny. Chapter 5. The Daily Weapons of Strength. Habits, prayer, discipline, focus. These are not optional, they are weapons. Strength leaks without consistency. Your daily rituals are either building power or draining it. This is where most people lose the battle, not because they lack courage, not because they lack vision, but because they fail to fortify themselves daily. One bold act of courage can spark momentum, but without daily weapons, that fire fizzles out. Think of it this way. Courage takes the hill, but consistency holds it. Courage breaks the door, but discipline keeps it open. Prayer connects you to divine strength, but habit ensures you don't unplug when life gets noisy. Focus sharpens your energy like a blade, but only daily practice keeps that blade from rusting. You must understand strength is not built in one day, it is built every day. Let's confront the truth head on. Your life today is the sum of your habits. What you repeatedly do shapes who you are becoming. If you consistently compromise, you are training weakness. If you consistently quit, you are cultivating fragility. But if you consistently pray, consistently focus, consistently discipline yourself, you are building an unbreakable core. Stop telling yourself you're strong if your habits prove otherwise. Strength is not in your intentions. It is in your routines. The weapon of habits. Habits are silent builders. You don't notice their power at first, but over time they determine whether you are prepared or perishing. Small actions repeated daily create massive outcomes. 10 minutes of reading every day builds wisdom that separates you from the crowd. 1 hour of scrolling every day drains the same wisdom until your mind is numb. Which one will you choose? Habits are choices on repeat. And here is the truth: you already have habits. The question is not, do I have habits? The question is, are my habits building me or breaking me? Every day you are training. Either training your strength or training your weakness. You cannot escape it. You must weaponize your habits. Set rituals that push you forward, not hold you back. Wake up earlier than comfort demands. Feed your mind before your phone. The weapon of prayer. Prayer is not empty ritual. It is the power line that connects you to the source. When you neglect prayer, you are like a warrior swinging a sword without strength. You may have technique, but you lack power. Prayer fills your spirit with divine voltage. It gives you the courage to stand, the wisdom to decide, the strength to endure. Stop treating prayer like an emergency button. Prayer is not just for crisis, it is your daily supply. You must pray before the storm comes, not only when it is raging. You must build spiritual muscle in secret, so when public battles appear, you are already fortified. And here is what you must realize: prayer is not only about asking, it is about aligning. In prayer, your will bends to God's will. Your fear bows to His promises. Your weakness is clothed in His strength. That is why men and women of prayer walk differently. They are not sustained by their own might, but by the Spirit who empowers them. If you want unshakable strength, you must prioritize prayer as a daily weapon, the weapon of discipline. Discipline is the bridge between desire and destiny. Everyone wants success, but only the disciplined achieve it. Everyone dreams of impact, but only the disciplined sustain it. Discipline is doing what is necessary, even when you don't feel like it. It is saying no to the lesser so you can say yes to the greater. Discipline hurts in the moment, but it builds strength that lasts. Think of an athlete. They train when their muscles ache, they run when their lungs burn, they push when their body screams to stop. Why? Because they know that tomorrow's victory is built on today's discipline. And so it is with you. You will never grow if you only act when you feel like it. Stop waiting for motivation. Motivation is unreliable. Discipline is your shield when motivation disappears. You must train your will to obey your spirit, not your feelings. This is where real strength is forged, the weapon of focus. Focus is a force multiplier. A scattered life wastes strength. A focused life channels it like a laser. You can be busy all day and accomplish nothing if you are not focused. Distraction is the enemy's favorite weapon, and most people fall into his trap willingly. They scroll, they wander, they gossip, they react. Then they wonder why they are drained and defeated. Focus is saying, this is what matters most, and I will guard it fiercely. Focus means cutting off what does not align with your purpose. Focus means setting boundaries, turning down opportunities, and ignoring noise. Focus requires courage because the world will call you arrogant or strange when you refuse to scatter yourself like they do. But focus is not arrogance, it is wisdom. If you want to achieve greatness, you must master focus. Your energy is finite. Don't waste it on the trivial. Give your best to what carries eternal weight, and let the rest fall away, building a fortress through consistency. These 4 weapons, habits, prayer, discipline, focus, are powerful on their own, but their true strength is revealed when they are practiced consistently. Consistency transforms small acts into unbreakable fortresses. One day of prayer makes you feel good. A lifestyle of prayer makes you unstoppable. One day of discipline gets you started. A lifestyle of discipline changes your destiny. Consistency is hard, but it is non-negotiable. Think of water dripping on stone. One drop does nothing, but drop after drop, day after day, the stone is shaped. That is what consistency does to your soul. It carves strength into you until you cannot be broken. You cannot win with random bursts of effort. You cannot fight with occasional discipline. Stop starting and stopping. Stop committing and quitting. Decide once and for all, these are my weapons, and I will wield them daily until my last breath. If you neglect your weapons, you invite defeat. Miss a day of prayer, and fear creeps in. Break your discipline, and compromise gains ground. Lose your focus, and distraction steals your time. Ignore your habits, and weakness becomes your default. Neglect is not neutral, it is destructive. That's why you must guard your routines like treasure. Protect your habits. Defend your discipline. Fight for your focus. Your destiny depends on it. But if you embrace these daily weapons, the reward is strength beyond measure. You will not crumble under pressure because you are fortified within. You will not panic in storms because you are anchored in prayer. You will not waste your energy because your focus is sharp. You will not drift aimlessly because your habits steer you toward purpose. This is what separates the weak from the mighty, the ordinary from the extraordinary. It is not talent. It is not luck. It is consistency with the right weapons. Courage begins the journey, but consistency sustains it. Habits, prayer, discipline, and focus are not luxuries, they are weapons. Your daily rituals are building either strength or weakness. Neglect leaks power. Consistency multiplies it. If you want unshakable strength, you must wield these weapons daily, without excuse and without compromise. But even with habits, prayer, discipline, and focus, there is a higher voltage of strength that cannot be explained by willpower alone. It is called faith. Faith is strength at its highest voltage. It bends reality, rewrites impossibility, and moves mountains. In the next chapter, we will dive into faith that shakes mountains, because your greatest victories will not come by effort alone, but by daring to believe when everything seems impossible. Chapter 6. Faith that shakes mountains. If discipline is the daily weapon of strength, then faith is the explosive power behind it. Habits can carry you far, but faith launches you into territories you could never enter by logic alone. Faith is strength amplified to its highest voltage. It is the invisible current that makes the impossible bow. Without faith, strength is incomplete. With faith, strength becomes unstoppable. You cannot measure true power by muscle, money, or intelligence. Those are fragile currencies, easily exhausted. But faith? Faith bends the very structure of reality. Faith takes what is unseen and demands that it becomes seen. Faith does not negotiate with limitations, it breaks them. Every person who has ever shifted the course of history carried one thing in common: faith that defied what everyone else believed was possible. Abraham stepping into a land he did not know. Moses stretching his rod over the Red Sea. David charging at Goliath with only a sling. Jesus speaking to storms as if they were obedient servants. Again and again, faith rewrote impossibility. And here is what you must understand. That same force lives in you. Faith, more than belief. Many mistake faith for positive thinking or blind optimism. It is not. Faith is not simply saying, "It will be okay," while trembling inside. Faith is not denying reality. Faith is aligning yourself with the power of God and daring to act on it. Faith sees what others cannot see. It hears the voice of God above the noise of fear. It steps forward when others step back. Faith is a muscle, yes, but it is also a lens, a shield, and a fire. Belief may sit quietly in the mind, but faith moves the feet. Faith is belief in motion, and when it moves, mountains move with it. Because every other form of strength has limits. Muscle tires. The strongest body will eventually weaken. Intellect fails. The sharpest mind cannot calculate every outcome. Wealth disappears. Fortune can vanish in a single crisis. Connections shift. People change, seasons end, support dries up. But faith? Faith draws from an infinite well. It does not depend on circumstance. It does not rise and fall with the economy. It is not confined by what human logic can compute. Faith taps into the eternal, the unshakable, the God-sized dimension of strength. That is why it is strength at its highest voltage. When fear screams, you can't. Faith whispers, watch me. When reality insists, it's over. Faith declares, it has only just begun. When doors close, faith finds keys that no eye can see. Faith is not fragile, it is ferocious. Let's anchor this truth in real stories, because faith is never theory. It is always action. 1. Abraham, faith in the unknown. Imagine leaving everything familiar, your home, your culture, your inheritance, simply because God said, go. Abraham had no map, no certainty, only a promise. Yet he stepped out. And because he did, he became the father of nations. His story teaches us this. Faith thrives not in knowing every detail, but in trusting the one who does. 2. Moses' faith that divided seas. A wall of water in front, an army behind, fear everywhere. The people saw death. Moses saw deliverance. With a simple stretch of his rod, faith turned water into a pathway. Faith will always create a way where there is none. 3. David, faith that slays giants. A boy versus a warrior. Logic declared it suicide. But David's faith was not in stones, it was in God. And one sling changed the history of Israel. Faith does not need equal weapons. It needs a greater perspective. 4. The woman with the issue of blood, faith that pushes through. Weakened, ostracized, overlooked, yet she pushed through the crowd to touch the hem of Jesus' garment. Faith made her unstoppable. One touch and 12 years of suffering ended. Faith is not polite, it is relentless. It dares to push through barriers because it knows one thing: God is able. If you may ask, how do I build a faith that moves mountains? I will start by saying that faith is a gift, but it must also be cultivated. Like a muscle, it grows with use. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. Here are the weapons for building faith that shakes mountains. 1. The Word of God. Faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the Word. Every time you feed on God's promises, you load your spirit with dynamite. 2. Prayer. Prayer is not empty words. It is a declaration of alignment. Every prayer builds your confidence in God's ability. 3. Obedience in small steps. Faith grows when you act. Each time you step out, you enlarge your capacity for the next. 4. Community of believers. Faith is contagious. Surround yourself with people who stretch your belief, not shrink it. 5. Remembering testimonies, what God has done before, He can do again. Keep a record of victories. They will fuel your faith when fear knocks. Faith does not mean you will never feel fear. It means you will not bow to it. Courage is not the absence of trembling. It is movement in the presence of it. The mountain may look immovable, but faith is the bulldozer. The challenge may appear final, but faith writes the last chapter. Every time you exercise faith, reality bends. Not because you are powerful, but because you are connected to the one who is limitless. Faith is heaven's way of pulling eternity into time, possibility into impossibility, light into darkness. Faith is the highest expression of strength. It goes beyond muscle, beyond intellect, beyond human limitation. Faith bends reality because it is rooted in God's limitless nature. It is not mere belief, it is belief in action. The great men and women who rewrote history did so by faith, not by might. You too can build a life that shakes mountains if you cultivate faith daily, through the Word, through obedience, through community, and through remembering what God has already done. When faith takes root, impossibility becomes an illusion. Faith is not meant to flare up once and then fade away like a matchstick. No faith is meant to become a furnace that burns without end. You see, faith that shakes mountains is powerful, but its greatest test is consistency. Anyone can believe for a moment. The true warrior is the one who lives by faith daily. That's the bridge. This chapter showed you the voltage of faith, how it bends reality and rewrites impossibility. But the question is, how do you sustain it? How do you carry that strength into every single day so that you do not rise today and collapse tomorrow? How do you become more than a moment of courage but a lifetime of unshakable power? This is where the journey shifts. It's no longer just about a burst of strength. In a crisis, it's about becoming the kind of person who cannot be stopped, drawing from the Spirit, from faith, and from discipline until strength is no longer an event, but your very identity. And that is where we now step into becoming unstoppable. Chapter 7. Becoming unstoppable. There comes a point in your journey where bursts of strength are not enough. Inspiration is not enough. Motivation is not enough. One big act of courage will not sustain you, and one bold prayer will not carry you through a lifetime. What separates those who rise once from those who rise always is simple. They have become unstoppable. Unstoppable people are not born different. They are built different. They refuse to live by emotion alone. They refuse to rise today and collapse tomorrow. Instead, they have made strength a lifestyle. They have turned courage into rhythm, faith into breath, and discipline into muscle memory. They draw from the Spirit daily. They sharpen their faith consistently, and they wield discipline like a sword. If strength is something you visit occasionally, you will never be able to rely on it. Occasional strength collapses under constant pressure. It's like a muscle you only flex once in a while. It may impress in the moment, but it cannot endure. True strength must be a lifestyle. It must be something you carry with you into every environment, every season, every battle. You cannot just switch it on when life demands it. You must live in it, train in it, and breathe in it until it becomes your second nature. Think of an athlete. They don't only train on game day, they live in preparation mode. Their food, their sleep, their habits, all of it is tuned to a single focus: strength and endurance. If you want to become unstoppable in life, you must embrace the same mindset. Strength is not something you use. It is something you are. So stop living as if power is an emergency switch you only flip when you're desperate. Start living as if it's your default state. Human strength runs out. You already know that. You've tried to push yourself before and felt the wall of exhaustion, the limit of your willpower. That's why you need a source greater than yourself. When you draw from the Spirit of God, you are no longer depending on your fragile reservoir. You are plugged into the endless supply of divine strength. Scripture says, "Not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit, says the Lord." That means your strength doesn't have to run dry. But here's the key. Drawing from the Spirit is not accidental. You must position yourself daily to receive His strength. Prayer is not a religious ritual, it is a power exchange. Every time you enter God's presence, weakness leaves and strength arrives. Every time you open the Word, confusion leaves and clarity comes. Every time you worship, fear shrinks and courage expands. If you neglect the Spirit, you will always live tired, always on the edge of burnout. But if you stay connected, you will find yourself doing what should have been impossible, enduring what should have broken you, and rising when others collapse. You want to become unstoppable? Stay plugged into the Spirit. Faith is not a one-time declaration. It is a lifestyle of expectation. To live by faith means you refuse to be defined by what you see, and you insist on walking in the unseen reality God has promised. But here's the truth. Faith leaks when it's not fed. Just like your body grows weak without food, your faith grows weak without the Word, without prayer, without testimonies that remind you of God's faithfulness. Unstoppable people don't just have faith. They feed their faith daily. They speak faith out loud when fear whispers. They choose faith actions when logic screams otherwise. They surround themselves with faith-filled voices, not doubt-filled ones. Ask yourself, what are you feeding your faith? Are you letting news headlines fuel your fear, or are you letting God's promises fuel your courage? Are you surrounding yourself with complainers or with believers who speak life? If you want to live unstoppable, your faith must be your fuel. Courage can get you started. Faith can ignite your vision. But discipline keeps you in the fight long after the excitement is gone. Discipline is the daily decision to do what must be done, whether you feel like it or not. It is choosing to pray even when you're tired. It is choosing to work when distractions call your name. It is choosing to say no when temptation offers an easy escape. Without discipline, courage fizzles and faith weakens. With discipline, courage becomes a habit and faith becomes a lifestyle. Do not confuse discipline with rigidity. Discipline is not about living like a machine. It's about choosing alignment. It's about saying, this is the life I want, and I will shape my daily choices to get there. Unstoppable people don't wait for motivation. They master discipline. Fear is loud. It tells you all the ways you could fail, all the ways you are not enough. But fear is not truth. It is intimidation. Unstoppable people do not deny fear. They defy it. They feel the trembling, but they step forward anyway. They know that fear loses its grip the moment you move. Here is the principle. Fear shrinks when you face it. It grows when you feed it. If you run from it, it will chase you for the rest of your life. If you confront it, it will collapse under your courage. Stop waiting for fear to disappear before you act. Step out trembling if you must. Boldness is not the absence of fear, it is the refusal to obey it. Limitations are real. Your resources may be small. Your opportunities may seem scarce. Your background may not be ideal. But here's the truth. Every limitation you face is an invitation to discover a new dimension of strength. Do not let your limitations define you. Many of the world's greatest leaders, innovators, and warriors rose from impossible odds. They turned their limitations into leverage. You are not limited by what you don't have. You are limited only by what you refuse to believe. If you accept your excuses, they will chain you. If you reject them, they will fuel you. Unstoppable people live beyond limitation because they know their source is not man, but God. Defeat is not final unless you make it so. Everyone stumbles, everyone falls, but not everyone rises. The difference between the ordinary and the unstoppable is what they do after defeat. Do you wallow or do you rise? Do you let failure define you or do you let it refine you? An unstoppable person looks at defeat and says, this is not my ending. This is my training. They use loss as instruction, pain as preparation, and setbacks as setup for comebacks. Every time life knocks you down, rise faster. Refuse to give defeat the satisfaction of keeping you down. To be unstoppable is to live every day drawing from the Spirit, fueling with faith and sustaining with discipline. It is to walk past fear, rise above limitation, and turn defeat into fuel. This is not a title you earn once. It is a lifestyle you build daily. The world may not understand you. People may even think you're reckless, too bold, too unshakable. Let them talk. While they're talking, you'll be rising. While they're doubting, you'll be conquering. Unstoppable is who you must become, not for applause, not for pride, but because your destiny demands it. But becoming unstoppable is not just about surviving, it is about thriving. It is about refusing to live a life of occasional strength, and instead embracing a lifestyle of unshakable power. You now know how to draw from the Spirit, how to walk in faith, how to wield discipline, and how to rise beyond fear, limitation, and defeat. That's the blueprint of the unstoppable life. But this is not the end. This is the moment everything you've learned collides with action. This is where knowledge turns into power, and power turns into destiny. You cannot stop here. You cannot walk away the same, because the truth has been screaming at you since the beginning. You've always been stronger than you think. And that is where we close. This is it, the final stretch. The moment you've been walking toward since the first page, since the first sentence, since the first challenge I placed before you. And I'm not here to give you comfort. I'm here to give you clarity. I'm here to remind you one last time, you have always been stronger than you think. You've carried that strength through every battle you thought would kill you, through every storm you thought would drown you, through every night you thought would break you. Yet here you are, still standing, still breathing, still capable. If you survived what you thought you couldn't, what does that tell you? It tells you that the strength was never missing, it was hidden, waiting for you to claim it. Now the waiting is over. Weakness has become a mask too many people wear. They hide behind excuses. They cling to the lie that they don't have enough, that they aren't enough, that life has stacked the odds too high against them. But weakness is not your identity. It is not who you are. Weakness is a choice. Strength is a decision. Stop hiding behind your fears. Stop retreating into comfort zones that choke the life out of you. Stop bowing to excuses that have no power except the power you hand them. You say, I don't know if I can handle it, but you've handled more than this before. You say, I'm too tired, but strength is not about never being tired. It's about showing up tired and still moving. You say, what if I fail? But failure is not final, it's feedback. It's training. It's fuel. The time for hiding is over. This is not just about you. Your strength is not for your benefit alone. The world is waiting for what you carry. Your family is waiting. Your community is waiting. People you haven't even met yet are waiting for the strength that only you can release. Think about it. How many people will find courage because you refused to quit? How many lives will be lifted because you chose to rise? How many doors will be opened because you decided to step into your true power? You cannot afford to shrink anymore. Playing small doesn't protect you. It robs the world of the gift you are. When you rise, others rise. When you win, others find the courage to win too. Your life is not just about you. It's about the legacy your strength creates. The world doesn't need another shadow of fear. It needs your courage. It needs your faith. It needs your power. This is your arsenal. This is what makes you unstoppable. Power is the strength that comes from the Spirit. Courage is the decision to move despite fear. Faith is the voltage that bends reality in your favor. When these three converge, nothing can stop you. Power keeps you fueled. Courage keeps you moving. Faith keeps you believing when the evidence looks impossible. This is the triangle of strength. And when you live by it, you will never live small again. Here is where I stop talking and you start deciding. Because I can write every word, I can lay out every truth. I can challenge every excuse, but none of it matters until you choose. Will you step into your true strength, or will you retreat into weakness? Will you rise, or will you shrink? Will you step out and win, or sit back and watch others live the life you were meant to live? The choice is yours. It has always been yours. You've tasted what's possible when you silence the noise, when you draw from the Spirit, when you feed your faith, when you master discipline, when you defy fear. Now, you must decide if this will remain words in your ears or if it will become fire in your bones. Don't treat this conclusion like the end of a book. Treat it like the beginning of a new chapter in your life. From today forward, your strength must no longer be occasional. It must no longer depend on moods or feelings or the convenience of circumstances. From today, strength is your lifestyle. Wake up each morning and remind yourself, I am stronger than I think. Face every challenge with this truth. My spirit is greater than this storm. Walk into every opportunity with this conviction. Fear will not stop me. And when the day comes that tries to break you, because it will, you will not collapse. You will remember this moment. You will remember that strength is not something you reach for. It is something you already carry, and you will rise. Let me leave you with this final truth. Your victory is already waiting for you. The doors are waiting to open. The mountains are waiting to move. The giants are waiting to fall. But they will not fall for the weak. They will fall for the strong. They will fall for the courageous. They will fall for the one who dares to believe that they are unstoppable. And that person can be you. You've always been stronger than you think. Now is the time to prove it. Stop hiding. Step forward. Draw your weapons. Live by faith. Walk with courage. Keep rising. Keep winning. Keep breaking through. Because the world is waiting for your power. And now, it's time to rise. If these words shook something awake in you, then my mission is complete. But don't let it stop here. Strength isn't built in a moment. It's built in motion. Keep moving. Keep building. Keep rising. And if this message has added power to your journey, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs it. Let them rise too. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next fire waiting to fuel your spirit. Every chapter, every word, every message is designed to make you unstoppable. This is more than a book, it's a movement. And you are now part of it. So thank you for listening, thank you for rising, and thank you for daring to believe. You are stronger than you think. Now go win.